says the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic, the real danger is Agenda ID 2020. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. I've looked into this in the past, but there's been so much going on that I haven't really dove into the real theories behind why this is so dangerous. Like, I know them. I know what the arguments are, but I haven't really dove into them and researched them, which is what I always want to do before I talk about it with you guys. But this is the point that really alarmed me. It says, what is the infamous ID 2020? It's an alliance of public partners. And by the way, this is the ID that we're all going to have to have apparently by the end of this year, or rather maybe right now. I actually got a passport, which is the same thing because it also has that chip in it now. But the point is to have something that's chipped, something that's trackable, something that is that is national, right? So you no longer have your state ID, you just all have the national ID. And that is driving this same agenda. It always has been. And now it's under the guise of coronavirus, again, being forced in. It says it's an alliance of public-private partners, including UN agencies and civil society. So don't you love that our country is allowing, UN agencies to be involved with our internal policy? Again, some people might not care about that, but that alarms me. Now, it's an electronic ID program that uses generalized vaccination as a program for digital identity. I didn't know that. And that is crazy alarming. Because now think about this. Now this is going to be the point that, well, you can't get your ID unless you've been vaccinated. Okay. So now they're going to force you to get vaccinations so you can have an ID. And if you don't have an ID, you can't do anything. You see how they've set that up? You'll need the chip to fly. You'll need the chip to access certain areas. They'll make sure things are locked down with biometrics. So you need that ID to do basically everything. This just becomes social credit like in China, right? Well, you don't have your vaccinations. Well, you're a bad citizen and we can't allow you to leave. This is one of the most alarming things we can consider right now, because this, even if you believe in vaccinations that you should all be forced, it will be used nefariously. Guarantee it, because there always is somebody out there who will use it for their own purposes. History is very clear on that. It says the program harnesses existing birth registration. This just sounds so alarming to me. And vaccination operations to provide newborns with a portable and persistent biometrically linked digital identity. Yeah, that's totally not alarming at all. Gavi, the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization. So this whole ID is hinged on your vaccinations, which should be a choice, right? Informed consent and all that, right? Medical freedom. It's crazy that we just don't even care about the tenets of our medical system anymore. Identifies itself on its website as a global health partnership of public and private sector organizations dedicated to immunization for all, whether you like it or not. Gavi is supported by the World Health Organization. Oh, what do you know? And needless to say, its main partners and sponsors, of course, are the pharma industries that stand to benefit unbelievably from that idea. Now, it says the Alliance at their Summit 2019 entitled Rising to the Good ID Challenge. This was in New York. Think about how we're having one of the first quarantines in New York right now. Decided to roll out their program in 2020. A decision confirmed by none other than the World Economic Forum in Davos in 2020. The same place where all of these people came together. Bill Gates, remember the Johns Hopkins 201 event where they all sat around the table? All of those people were at Davos, and they all collectively got together and discussed this and are now driving it forward. I'm not saying conspiratorially wise, they did, that's a fact. But what's most alarming is that all the same players are involved with all the same agendas, even though it kind of breaches into a whole other level here that has nothing to do with this virus. It seems very obvious they're driving this in, and that should scare you. As they asked, is it just coincidence that this is being rolled out on the onset of what the World Health Organization calls a pandemic? Or is a pandemic needed to roll out this exact idea? It says here is what I'm not going to try to pronounce this, that's an interesting name, policy advisor to the Bangladesh government program. He says, quote, "We are implementing a forward-looking approach to digital identity that gives individuals control over their own personal information while still building off existing systems and programs. The government of Bangladesh recognizes that the design of digital identity systems carries far-reaching implications for individuals' access to services and livelihoods, and we are eager to pioneer this approach." course, they're arguing this the opposite, right? This is the opposite of what's going to happen, right? You will have no control over anything. That's what's so, as he's saying, like, that's, wow, this guy has no idea what he's getting into. This whole thing should be alarming to us today because it's yet another agenda. By the way, this is, here it is. Oh. I had that open. Anyway, I had more information on that, but this will all be in the show notes. It's all in the article. You can look at it for yourself. It's pretty crazy to see that there's yet another agenda that has been focused on, forced in for a very long time. And yet another one being forced in due to the fear around this whole topic.